In my last video, I showed why financial independence is not achievable for the average person. This conclusion assumes that the average person does not change their habits. But what if they did? Would they be able to achieve financial independence? Let's find out. Along the way, I will point to videos in which I have covered these topics in more depth, and these are included in the description as well. At the very basic level, you need to earn more than what you spend to create savings. These savings then go on to create wealth. And to create more savings, you can either earn more while keeping your expenses the same, or you can reduce your expenses while keeping your income level the same. Or you can do both for an even stronger impact. But you may wonder which approach is better for you. Is it cutting down on expenses or increasing your income? Well, a lot of it depends on your income level and cost of living. Picture someone living with £150,000 a year and only saving around £10,000 annually. And yes, some people do that. For that person, it's very likely that expenditure can easily be reduced, especially if a luxury lifestyle is involved. On the other hand, someone with a salary of £35,000, the cutting on expenses can be more challenging as there's little room to maneuver. For example, the bulk of that spending might be rent, bills and groceries. But once you start saving money, put some money aside for your emergency fund and invest the rest. The earlier you start investing, the greater your wealth will become due to the compounding effect. Some people like myself only learnt about this quite late in life, but you can learn from my mistakes and get ahead. How I wish I could go back to my 20s and start my investing journey then. If you start saving and investing earlier, your investment risk can be lower. What I mean by that relates to the nature of compounding. There's two key parameters when it comes to how much your wealth will compound. First is the rate of return, and second is the length of time the wealth compounds. So to get to £1 million on an average salary, it's likely to take at least 20 years depending on a number of factors. But here, the return on your investment was assumed to be 9%. What if you want to reach that figure in 10 years and you can't change anything else except your investments? Well, to cut down your retirement time in half, you will need an investment return of 40% for 10 years. That's insane. Now, what kind of investment would you need to get an annual return of 40%? Super risky ones for sure, like crypto or CFD trading. You may end up losing money instead, and it's really a situation you don't want to be in. So by having a longer horizon, you can invest into less risky products like index funds. Okay, so let's talk about tax. It literally pays off to be tax efficient. But one of the questions you may ask is, should you put more towards your pension or your tax relief wrapper? In the UK, you can shield your investment from taxes through your ISA. In the US, the Roth IRA is somewhat similar, as your post-tax money grows tax-free. This is because your income contributions to these have already been taxed. An ISA will avoid paying future taxes on capital gains and dividends. In contrast, the money you put towards your private pension is tax-free, meaning that if that money was taxed, the tax gets added back to the pot. But pensions aren't like ISAs, as pensions rather defer payment of taxes. This is because your pension withdrawals are usually subject to taxes, depending on the amount and your allowances. However, here's a key difference between an ISA and a pension pot. The earliest you can access your private pension is currently 55 and is set to rise to 57 in 2028. State pension, on the other hand, is also set to rise from 65 to 67. This means that if you're looking to retire early, then prioritize your ISA over your pensions. Finally, let's talk living expenses. Your living expenses are a fundamental part of determining your financial independence success, because not only does it determine your savings rate, but also your withdrawal rate once you retire. Therefore, having a low living expense has a double impact on your FIRE journey. Generally speaking, however, reducing your expenses will reduce your standard of living unless you move somewhere where the cost of living is lower. Then you can actually reach FIRE earlier whilst maintaining your standard of living or even improving it. This reminds me of the personal finance channel Our Rich Journey, where they moved from the US to Portugal. And actually, as a side note, I'm also looking into this myself. Warm weather, cheap food and a lower rent, say no more. So let's do a quick recap on what you can do to reach financial independence faster. First, save more by increasing your income or reducing your expenditure. This includes looking at other sources of income as well as moving somewhere with a lower cost of living. There are many ways of doing this. For example, you could do side hustles for additional income. Secondly, start early and allow your investments to compound. This will also determine the risk level you need to take. Thirdly, be tax efficient and take advantage of those tax reliefs. Maximize your ISAs before pension if you plan on retiring early. And there you have it, how to reach FIRE earlier. It really isn't rocket science, and anyone who tells you otherwise is probably trying to sell you a course. It's simple but not easy. But then, if it were easy, everybody would do it. But how much difference do these changes make? Well, next time we'll take a deep dive into such a scenario using an average person situation. Also, I wanted to mention, if you've noticed my voice is a bit different in this video, it's because I'm recovering from COVID. But don't worry, the worst is over and I'm making a steady recovery. As always, thank you for watching and see you next time.